Uh, it's a very strange story because I started off actually at about the age of 4 or 5. I was staying at 10th and Park, and Jay McShann stayed maybe 2 or 3 doors down in his house. So one day I was standing on the porch, and I heard all this music coming from down the street, you know. And I said, I wonder if I could get down there, you know, and listen to it up close, you know. But my mother had given me strict instructions, said, boy, if you leave this porch, I'm gonna do something to you. She said, don't leave, just stay here on the porch, you know. But when she went back in the house, this music had this great attraction for me. I left the porch and went down and looked through the screen, man. And these guys was just, you know, kicking it, you know. And I stayed there maybe too long because when I got back, my mother was waiting on me, you know. So she gave me a little, you know, nice beat down, you know. You know. So that was my first introduction to music up close. And after that, I began to study music in the 6th grade. My mother bought me a saxophone for $90 from a place called Bohart Music. So I, you know, practiced that. And then I went to a school called R.T. Cole's, which is right down the street here at 18th, I think, in Tracy. And I studied under the tutelage of Mr. Leo Davis, who they said taught Charlie Parker. But I asked him about that. I said, what kind of student was Charlie Parker? He said, I don't remember him, you know. So I don't know whether that's true or not that he did teach Charlie Parker. But anyway, I had 4 hours of music every day for 4 years at the high school level, and an hour of harmony. They called theory harmony back in the day, you know, and an hour of harmony every day for 4 years, you know. And we had a jazz band, big band, as they called it, you know, and we played arrangements by, you know, Woody Herman and Stan Kenton and all those kind of guys, you know. And when it came time for you to solo, Mr. Davis would come up to us and hum the melody in your ear while you were soloing, you know. So that was a big help because I could read, you know, the chord changes pretty good, but that melody really helped me. And that taught me one thing, that your greatest asset is your ear. You know, that's your greatest asset. If you can hear, you're all right, you know. Then after that, you know, I tried to get into the conservatory for saxophone, but they didn't even teach saxophone back then, you know. So I studied flute and I took a few oboe lessons. But my greatest education was on the street by listening to different musicians play and asking questions and all that. My first experience at a jam session was at a after-hours joint. See, back in the day, after the joints closed, you could go to somebody's house and they would sell bootleg whiskey and beer and stuff and have a band there, you know. So I went to this place, house that was run by Miss Brown, you know. And some of the musicians that you might know, Eddie Saunders was there. He was one of the, you know, the guys at the band. So I'm thinking, you know, I'm real young, maybe 14, 15 years old. I don't know nothing, you know. This is my first experience at the jam session. So they were playing How High the Moon. So I'm trying to be cool, had my collar turned up and all that, you know, walking cool, you know, trying to get around. I said, man, what key is it in, man? They said, it's in the key of G. To me, by playing the alto saxophone, G is one sharp, you know. So it came time for me to play. Oh man, that was terrible. I mean, not horrible, but terrible, you know. And Eddie said, hey man, you in the wrong key. I said, you said the key of G. I meant G concert. Yeah. So, you know, that was a great awakening experience, you know. Then I got to hear all the great musicians, because they came to Kansas City because of Charlie Parker. They wanted to see what was in Kansas City that made Charlie Parker so great. So that was Sonny Stitt, I mean, that was everybody, Dexter, everybody. And we would meet on 12th and Purcell at this round thing they called the Bowl, at 12th and Purcell, you know. And they would meet down there, and I would hang out. They would let me come and listen. I was probably one of the only young people that they would let hang out with them. You know, I don't know why. I guess they saw something in me, you know. So I got to listen to them talk about music and, you know, and la-di-da and all that. Then right across the street was a joint called the Boulevard Room. I'm still in high school, you know, 1950, still in high school, sophomore, you know, something like that, you know. So when the band took a break, we came outside the club and was standing outside the club. Up walked Charlie Parker, you know. So everybody got, you know, excited. Hey, man, that's Bird, man. That's Bird, Bird. So he walked across the street. He said, how are you gentlemen doing? Deep voice, how are you gentlemen doing, you know? And shook our hands, big old hands, you know, big bone guy, big old hand, you know. And he spoke in this curved pipe, you know, this Sherlock Holmes type pipe, you know, he had this, he said, yeah, I got a collection of these. Yeah, you know, so all the, you know, here I was, you know, happy and giddy, you know, ooh, man, that's a Bird, man, you know, yeah, you know. And this guy named Clifford Jenkins, you know, I think Bird gave him some money to go do something for him or something like that. So Bird said, hey, man, where you been? You know, and start talking to Clifford, you know, and, you know, and Clifford got kind of shaky and scared, man. He said, you know, I've been around. Okay, and that same year or the next year, there was a big flood in Kansas City. Remember the big flood? I think it was 50 or 51, something like that. And Woody Herman's band was in town at the auditorium. They hired Bird as an added attraction. So when it's time for Bird to come on the stage, man, everybody rushed towards the stage, you know, to hear him play. And Woody asked him, say, hey, Bird, what do you want to play? He said, well, play what you've been playing. I don't care. Play what you've been playing. He went through the book. He played all their songs, took all the breaks, la, la, da, straight up and down, you know, with no sweat, you know. And that was my first education of hearing a great, great man play, you know. Is that enough?
And that sparked you. I mean, when was you like, I want to do this? It's like,
well, maybe before that. When I said I wanted to do that, a friend of mine that lived around the corner from me, brother, had this recording of Bird playing Embraceable You, you know. And before we would go to school in the morning, I would go around to his house, and they'd be playing Embraceable You. And Bird he wasn't playing the melody, embrace me, my sweet embraceable you. He said, boo-dee-doo-dee-doo-dee, boo-dee-doo-dee-doo-dee, boo-dee-doo-dee-doo-dee. Oh, man, I said, oh, that's the most beautiful statement I've ever heard in my life, man, you know. So I said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this my life's work, is be a musician, you know.
yeah.
Right. What's that? 14, 15 years old.